Mr. J. My name is Yurii Byelousov. I'm representing the Expert Center for Human Rights. And my friend, my colleague Taras Filonenko representing the National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine. We have invited you to talk on the investigative interview issue. Could you please introduce yourself briefly?
Yeah, my name's Daren J. I'm a Chief Executive of Interview Management Solutions, which is a company based in Australia, and we provide interview management consultancy, training services and software to agencies around the world.
Mr. J, what could you tell us about the investigative interview?
Investigative interviewing is a fairly modern approach to the task of gathering information from people. Generally, it's used by law enforcement in a number of different jurisdictions. There was always a approach that was focused on gaining a confession, and there was a limited application of science. There was a mistaken belief that coercion or torture or other similar tactics were the best way to obtain information from persons being questioned. Fortunately, the science and the research has evolved and is continuing to evolve, and it is now understood that not only are those types of techniques, coercive techniques, inappropriate because they're inhumane and unethical, but they're actually very inefficient, and the science now demonstrates that they don't actually work.
But why investigative interview is so efficient? What do you think?
The science and the research has demonstrated that using an ethical approach based upon rapport-based methods and building a relationship of trust and open communication with an interviewee results in not just more information being provided by that person being questioned, but the information itself is more reliable and is more accurate.
Could you please tell us about the role of the training in this procedure, because you have an experience of being a trainer for many years and you know how difficult it is to train the people who already work, who already use other methods. How you manage to change the approach within a short period of time?
The idea is that we teach people to understand what we call an investigative mindset, which is an open-minded approach. So we examine our own biases, our own assumptions, our own conclusions that we have a human tendency to form, and we recognise and push those aside. And every interview that takes place, we ask our interviewers to keep an open mind and listen to the interviewee.
Could you please tell us about the main principles of investigative interviewing?
Well, I've kind of touched on them, and it really is about this information gathering approach. We approach questioning with a focus of trying to gather as much information as possible. So there's no real interest in confessions or partial admissions. Yes, they're great when they happen, but the whole approach is based upon this human relationship of trust and rapport. The chances are that even if a member of the society, whoever, the suspect, whatever, is being questioned, they might have a dislike or a distrust of the government, of the police. But if you can build a relationship with them, and that is based upon a rapport, there's a good chance that even though they have a distrust of the police, they might still form a trust and a bond with you and trust you and respect you enough to provide you information. You can't expect that relationship to form unless you approach that interviewee with dignity and respect, and without that, investigative interviewing would not work or be effective.
Could you just clarify a bit, because critics of investigative interviewing, they sometimes say that it's just a soft way of talking which doesn't work with serious criminals, and it really won't help. and there is no need to waste time for that. But why you believe, whether any proof, maybe research that really prove that such kind of interview helps to gather more information than traditional interrogations?
Yeah. You just reminded me of my own opinion when I was first shown investigative interviewing in around about 1995. I was sceptical. I didn't realise how effective it could be. Psychologists, researchers have spent a long time, over 20 years, trying to establish what works, and they've been interviewing suspects, terrorist suspects that have been incarcerated for committing and convicted for committing terrorist atrocities, and they've reviewed their interrogation practices, and even the terrorists that speak to the researchers say the information I provided in my interrogation wasn't accurate. I just told the police what they wanted to hear, because all I wanted was for the abuse, the physical pain, the beatings, the mistreatment, the sleep deprivation. We wanted all that to stop. The research shows quite clearly that these coercive techniques that people have used in the absence of having had any skills-based training, that they don't work, they're not effective.
Could you please tell what is absolutely don'ts that the investigator do not do when he apply investigative interviewing approach?
The number one don't for me would be don't disrespect the person that you're speaking to. That means don't judge them. It means treat them as you would like to be treated yourself. And for an investigator, that can be quite a difficult mindset to approach, because we're dealing with corrupt individuals, we're dealing with people that harm children, sex offenders. It can be very difficult to treat such a person with dignity and respect. But the science says if you don't, you're going to impact the success of the interview.
Thank you, Mr. J. I have no questions anymore, Taras.
I have no question.
Thank you so much for the information you have provided. Wish you a good day and all the best. Wish you a safe travel home, and stay in touch, please.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Taras.